All right, let's dive into one of the most mysterious and, let's be honest, kind of unsettling cards in the whole tarot deck. The Moon. This is the card that talks about our dreams, our deepest fears, and all that murky stuff happening in our unconscious mind. So yeah, let's take a deep breath and jump right in. Seriously, think about this for a minute. Have you ever been outside on a really bright moonlit night? All of a sudden, that tree you see every day looks like some kind of monster. The path you know by heart suddenly feels weird, uncertain. That exact feeling, that disorientation where reality gets all warped, that is the landscape we're about to explore.
And here it is, card number 18 of the Major Arcana. Now, a lot of people look at this card and their first thought is madness. But that's not really it. It's better to think of it as the world of shadow and night, a place where our imagination is totally separate from our spirit. It's a world lit by reflected light, not direct truth. And that little detail, it's everything.
So to really get this card, we're going to take a trip right through it, starting from the very bottom and working our way up. We'll start in the depths, meet some interesting beasts, walk a tricky path, get into what it all means, and then, finally, we'll look for the sunrise.
Okay, so our journey starts right here, at the bottom of the card, in this pool of water. And this isn't just any old pond. Nope. This is a symbol for the huge, primal unconscious mind, where literally everything else in this scene comes from.
So it makes perfect sense that the moon is a water card. In tarot, water is always about that deep, flowing, mysterious world of our feelings, our gut instincts, and our subconscious. It's that primordial soup where both our biggest creative ideas and our absolute worst fears can bubble up. Okay, now look really close at the bottom here. See that crayfish? Sometimes it's a lobster or a scorpion crawling out of the water. That thing represents something ancient. A.E. Waite, one of the creators of this deck, called it a nameless and hideous tendency which is lower than the savage beast. Whoa. Basically, it's our most primitive, raw instinct trying to make its way into the light of consciousness. As we move up from the water, we run into these two guys, a dog and a wolf. They're all about our animal nature, our instinctual mind, and how it reacts to the weird light of the moon. And here's the thing. They're both howling at the moon. They're just two sides of the same coin. The dog, that's our domesticated fears, the anxieties of our everyday mind that we kind of recognize. But the wolf, well, that's the wild, untamed part of us, the savage fears that live out in the wilderness of our own minds. This is the kind of fear we're stuck with when all we have is this weird, reflected light to see by. Now look right between those two animals. There's a path, and it winds its way off into the distance, right between two kind of creepy towers. That path, well, that's our way through all this confusion. And these towers, they're not just for show. Think of them like gateways. They're the last outpost of everything you know and feel comfortable with. If you walk between them, you're making a choice to leave the familiar world behind and step into total mystery, a place where the normal rules just might not apply anymore. And that's the big challenge, isn't it? This is no yellow brick road. It is, as the old texts put it, the issue into the unknown. It's a journey that can make you feel completely lost, totally bewildered. It's a path you have to take, but wow, it is going to test your courage for sure. So now that we've kind of walked through the landscape of the card, what does it actually mean when it shows up in a reading? How do we make sense of this strange moonlit world? Usually, when the moon card appears, it's pointing to one of four big things. First, fear. It's asking you to finally face those inner demons. Second, illusion. It's a heads up that you might be fooling yourself or chasing something that isn't real. But it can also signal a huge surge of imagination, opening you up to these incredibly vivid dreams and creative insights. And finally, sometimes it just means bewilderment, that awful feeling of being completely lost and turned around. On a more direct, predictive level, this card can act as a warning. It might be pointing to enemies you don't know you have, some kind of hidden danger, or just plain old deception. It's telling you that there are unseen forces at work, and you might be making a huge mistake about something. Now, here's a fun fact. Even though it's called the moon, this card is actually linked astrologically to Pisces. This connects it to the 12th house of the zodiac, which is the house of secrets, dreams, karma, and the subconscious. It just adds another layer to this whole idea of diving deep and facing whatever is hidden down there. So if the moon is such a confusing and scary place to be, where do we go from here? Well, the journey doesn't just end in the darkness. The tarot is telling us that we're moving from this weird reflected light towards something much more direct. This quote right here gets to the absolute heart of the card. Think about it like this. The moonlight is like our intellect. It's smart, it can see things, but it's only a reflection of a deeper truth. It's not the truth itself. It can shine a light on our fears and instincts, but it can't actually show us the ultimate spiritual mystery that's waiting beyond those two towers. And this is the very next step on the path. I mean, just look at the difference. On the left, you have the murky, creepy, confusing world of the moon, and on the right, the brilliant, direct, joyful light of the sun, the very next card in the deck. The sun is the answer to the moon's crisis. Its light shines into all those hidden corners, getting rid of the clouds of confusion and fear that made the moon's world so scary. It brings enlightenment, a feeling of safety, and this amazing sense of clarity in life. It's literally the dawn after a very, very long night. So you see, the journey through the moon, with all of its scary parts, is really a journey toward truth. It makes us face our fears and see through our own illusions so that we can be ready to finally step into the light. And that just leaves us with one last question to think about. What illusions or fears in your own life are just waiting for the sun to rise?